Alright, so here we are, chapter 1. As you can see, the game right now has three things. It's got the self, that represents yourself, it's your id as such. We've got the adult trait, which represents your adulthood. So you can see we can build an awake mind from it, but we'll get to that in a bit. And we have our goal. So this is the first goal of the game, this is the thing we have to do. And it requires 2 energy. So here we can see the ways you can get that, with either an awake mind or an energy mind. And since the awake mind is right here, we'll just build that. So we want to place this close to the adult trait and close to this. So we'll put that here. And now we just connect the whole thing with paths. And we connect it to the self. Heck, it's quite bad. So like that, you build paths with the path button over here or with P, and you can demolish things with the demolish button, naturally. So that looks good to me. So right now let's unpause the game. So you can see we have 2 things moving. We have will, which goes to this construction right here. And once enough will has come into this, the mine will be built and it'll start producing the energy this goal needs. You also see subconscious, which goes to things that are more subconscious. So in this case, having a goal active is going to produce desire for the player. And it requires his subconscious to actually do that. Okay. There you can see the desire. So now the awake mind also is a thing that requires subconscious, but sadly I cannot control the subconscious in any way. However, here you can see it was flavored by the adult trait, and now this is also producing things. So it just produced energy, yep, right there as well. And finally the goal was complete. Okay, next thing to do is to complete this goal. So we have the awake mind, as we can see here, but it also wants a chore tower, which we can build here. That red dot that was there, that signifies that there's something new that can be built over there. So we're going to place a chore tower here. We're just going to connect it. It wasn't the best, I really meant to go like that, but it's fine. And we'll just run the game a little bit. Yep, and now this chore tower has been built. So if we look at it, we see it converts energy to chores, and this mine over here produces energy. So we've got this nice pipeline set up. So now we just need to activate it. We can do that either by pressing it here, pressing this button, or by pressing the one over here. So now we're just going to let that run a little bit. We're going to increase the speed, let it go a little faster. And there you saw the energy going into it. And you see this is a tower, unlike this, which is a mine. And towers require focus. So we're at one of the 5 possible focus we can be using since we activated this tower. And that's a focus person. He came from the self, came here, and is now going to go there and start this thing running. You see? And there we go, E7, and that's the first chore going right there. Right, and now we just need one more, just being produced, and that's done. So now we have a new trait coming up, which is the city that you're living in, and that's the representation of that in your mind. And we need to find a job. Okay, so jobs require, if you look at it, it requires 3 travel. You get travel from the travel tower here. You can see that here and here. And you get, and that in turn requires motivation, right, which we can see here. So the adult has a letter from home that provides motivation. Again, the red dot signified that there was something new there. So we want to keep that sort of close to the adult, but also somewhat close to the city. I think right about here is probably reasonable. We're also going to want to place a paint tower, which we'll put right here, I think, to deal with the emotions that are going to come out from the city and from the goal, because I know that finding a job is going to be emotional for the player. Now you can see the paint tower says that it damages all, So that adds us the walk tower over here, so that just means that it's a tower that can damage emotions. So now we're just going to connect all of this up. In fact, we'll also connect this one down here, just make that path. And we also need to put down a travel tower. So we wanted someone close to the motivation that it's going to use, someone close to the city, and someone close to the goal. So we're going to just put it here. I'm going to connect things like that. It's not necessarily the best, but seems reasonable. And we'll just wait for these things to be built. We'll clean this up a little too. Oh, also, since we don't need chores anymore, we can just turn that off. Now we're producing more subconscious, which means that we'll get more energy, more will, and more desire. Okay, so this has been made, but we're still not producing motivation. We may as well turn it on anyway, just set everything up and turn that on. And now this should be fairly quick, I hope. Yep. And we should be good. Should be everything. So now it's just a question of waiting for everything to happen. You can see we've got that adult going in. This guy's going to hit the city. You can just shorten this journey right here. So that started. And now all we need is this motivation from here. Hopefully that one's going to go here. But you can't control the subconscious, sadly. So we're just going to speed this up a little to make things happen. Yeah, there we go. Right, so this has started producing. We've already put a travel there. We still require 2 more. So 1 more. And this is running. So there's that motivation. Looks like this has been filled up with motivation. Now you can... Well, I'll show you it next time a little better. So over here you can see that we've produced anger, right? Because it doesn't quite show you, but some people who can control whether or not you get employed are people you get frustrated with. So in this case, every time you talk to someone looking for a job, you're becoming more and more angry. But thankfully we have the paint tower over here to deal with that. So right now you can see it gets here, and then the paint tower kills it. So now we found a job, and the city now has a new tower, which is this drive one, which naturally corresponds to actually working at that job. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect that such that it's close to travel, which it consumes, and close to the city, which it gets its workers from. Okay. And we're just going to let everything run a little bit, because that's the end of this day. So let's just speed things up. We'll actually start working right now because we're not doing much of anything, and we may as well stockpile the money that we'll get from this. Also, you can see here we've produced a chore goal, right? And it's just something that comes up regularly. It's one of the side effects of having a house. Now in ourselves we already have 3 chores, so we don't need to start this back up. I'll just connect it pretty easily like this and see how things go. Okay, so it's a new day, so you can see we've got a bunch of new goals. This is the day timer over here, by the way, with also the speed controls. This is what chapter you're on and the title of that chapter. So a lot of things have come up. Let's take a look. We need 2 cash here. I don't know how much cash we've actually produced. It looks like not much. So we're going to have to keep these running. And we also need to pay for our car. So why don't we start by getting both of these done. We're just going to connect like this and connect like this. Now we could have done the faster road like this, but this gives us a nice spot to put a tower to deal with emotions if we need to. And I just like that flexibility. What we're also going to do is we're going to put down 1 more tower here and try to get our cash production to be faster. So you can see that the city trait is only 3 hexes large, which means we can only build 3 towers. So right now we're going to put one more travel tower down, because it's useful, and it's the source for a lot of things, and we'll leave that be. Also, if possible, we'll try to increase our production of motivation, like so. It takes energy, just produced here. So we'll just put it down. I think we'll actually just put it down here. It's a little bit crowded, which I'm not a fan of, but this will do fine. Oh, the side effect of doing what I just did is that now these have a shortcut to get to the self, in case they start producing emotions, which is not great. So just in case, we'll put down a second paint tower as well right here. It's a nice solid spot where it's going to serve as a good last ditch, and it's a good question as to whether we left that too late, because okay, so paint tower came, but here's the fear. We get there in time? Nope. Oh crud. So what happened here is the fear was in an empty spot and created a memory. So now we have this fear associated with painting, traveling, and working, because we were scared at the time and those are the actions we were doing. So now we have that permanent association. So this is unfortunately close to the self. So what we're going to do is we're going to put down a second paint tower here to try to deal with it. Try to make sure it doesn't get out of control. And we'll leave that for now. Hopefully this time we'll get this one. Maybe not. Okay, so you can see this is running and that is running, but here's yet another fear memory, but that one's far enough away that I'm not as concerned. Although to be fair, it's very close to the same thing. This is the only square this one goes through that the other one does. And the fear is rising, which is problematic. So what we're going to do is we're going to put down a second drive tower, and hopefully now we're producing cash fast enough that these start dying. We're also going to want to connect to this and connect to this while we can. So let's just see how things go. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. So really we need to hope that we start generating cash fairly soon. Also, we hooked up this goal, which was to meet a new person, which we've actually done now. So this is the first person we've met, name of CW, and as you can see we can socialize with this person. So we're going to do that because we want to socialize here. You can see way down this list probably that CW, this person, will allow you to socialize. So we're going to do this. Now ideally I would place yet another tower here, but there doesn't seem to be one close enough. So we're just going to hope CW doesn't make us very emotional. It's a good guess as to whether or not that'll happen. Okay, and we'll activate this too. Okay, we seem to be producing cash, if slowly. CW is producing happiness, and now we have a joyful emotion for a change. You can see the joy here. Lots of things active, so we're going to be producing a lot of joy, and that's this close to the self, so it looks like we're going to be quite happy, which is not as nice a thing as one would hope. Also, we can now talk to CW, which should be damaging all, but maybe it doesn't do that anymore. Maybe I've lost track. It would be a pain if it didn't, because this would be a great place for it. We'll try it out. We'll see what happens. Do we have to lose? Oh, but we need to we need to build CW up more in our mind, as in, this is not actually the person, right? This is how important that person is to us, how large that person's representation is in our mind. So because we've just met CW, we're not quite at a stage to be building more towers and performing more actions with him. So we need to let that grow a little. Meanwhile, this scary one is gone, but we still have these three here and this defense structure here. So ups and downs there. Oh, and there's that bug. Okay, so we still clearly have a bug. So you know what, I'm going to end this video here, try to fix that, and then we'll come back.